Welcome back to the podcast. This week, my guest is Miss Jill Rinner with Bungalow 47. She has been at this since 2011 with a little shop that just has transformed into a paint line, a design consultation business, a full-grown vintage booth, and her but what word am I looking for? And well, basically her blog. So, Jill, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Oh, yay. So she lives in Michigan, 3 kids, 10 grandkiddos. We've been chatting about that. But today she's going to share with us some insights to her business and kind of how it's evolved over the years. Jill, tell us something about like the challenges from transitioning from a shop and then how the paint line came into play, and just get started. Tell us.
Well, all of that, I mean, it's amazing how once you start something, how things snowball. And when we opened the shop originally, that's how we started in 2011. We were buying vintage furniture, repainting. We knew that, the shop was focused on repainting furniture. So of course we needed a paint line. It took a couple years to develop something after we worked with a couple of companies that just for whatever reason didn't work out. And then we decided to do our own thing. And so it's just been a great journey. From there, it just really snowballed. We did some private labels for a couple big designers, and then of course our own house brand. And that's where after a couple years, it just blew up and we needed to close the shop so we can move to a bigger warehouse. And we did that. And just to focus on the paint distribution. But I miss the shop so much because that's all the styling and the fun designing and all of that. So I still continue to do vintage, and I've done vintage pretty much my whole adult life. So
backtrack a little bit. I failed to ask. I know you were talking about and I know it's not a mouse in your pocket. So tell me about that.
I started Bungalow 47 with a friend of mine who is still a great friend. It's interesting because even at the beginning of our business, we just, I had been in other businesses with a friend, and just, she and I really talked about it. Like, what's this going to look like when one of us needs to get out? And so we kind of talked about that at the beginning of the business. So 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago now, almost, during COVID, actually, she had a thriving family business that just needed her attention. And so we consciously uncoupled because I totally consider her my work spouse. And so, but we still talk a lot every week. In fact, we were just like talking about and obsessing about something last night. And we still get together and just kind of cheer each other on with what we're doing. So
awesome.
In my mind, Bungalow 47 is still a we.
Yes. Okay. So tell us how you marketed your paint business so that it grew so big, so fast.
I think it was a lot of things like that are just right timing. I mean, you see that with blogging, especially people that were just right place, right time, figured it out and started doing it right. So we really went after our first private label that we had. That was a focused effort to go and present that to the company. And then after that, we had, people come to us, and then just being out on social media, all of that, people were craving a good paint that they could use, that they could count on. I'm one of those people that I have a very bad memory, so I just can't lie. I just have to live my life with let me just lay it out there and always be honest. And a lot of the times at the beginning of the paint industry, a lot of companies were not doing that. They were trying to tell the customer oh, you don't have to do anything. Just paint your thing. No prep. That is not really true. You have to do something. So we were kind of one of those ones that were out there just being honest about it. And this is how, the everyday mom can make something fabulous and update her home on a budget.
And
So
so what gave you the idea of paint? You had the shop that really wasn't necessarily related to paint, but you were painting items all the
yeah.
time. And what made you think, hey, we should have our own paint?
Well, the chalk and clay based paint is just so much different than a latex paint. With latex, you can't do all that the fun things that we all want to do, distress or build layers and make it look old and all of those things. So there was definitely some limitations. So that's when we just started working with this chemist and developing what we wanted the paint to actually do. And
Gotcha.
so just went from there.
Fun. Okay. So from there, how did the blog start?
We had a website from the very beginning with Bungalow 47, and I had actually learned about blogging back in 2008 or 9. I remember I took a little course through the community when the word blog was first out there. And of course, like an idiot, I did. I went and did it. Because I love to write. I've always been a writer. I've actually written a book in my past life when I was in the crafting industry. And
What's it called? What's it called?
It's called Scrapbooking Made Easy. I was in the scrapbooking industry, and so it was published by Time Life Books, and it was great. It's still out there. It's so funny because I actually went to an estate sale last year and ran across a copy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I officially am dead because here I am at an estate sale going through somebody's stuff, and I'm like finding this book. And I was with, somebody, I'm like, take a picture of this. This is too funny. So we posted it up on social media, and it's, crazy. So anyway, oh my gosh, I totally forgot what we were talking about.
So you were blogging. So you decided to start
blogging. So I've just always been a writer. I had a little underground newspaper when I was in elementary school. I love to write. So I started doing that. And then, so when Bungalow 47 came about, we had a website, of course. And I said, well, maybe I can write about some design things and just our little adventures, because we were always out doing funny things. And I just started writing a little bit, and then we started sharing projects, but we weren't doing it right. I didn't know about SEO or all of that stuff. We throw stuff up on Pinterest, and that's great because actually when people say Pinterest is evergreen, 100%. I have stuff on, that's been on Pinterest for 10 years that I'm still getting traffic from. So that's just really how it started. But it wasn't until after my business partner left Bungalow 47, and I really was like, okay, I've got to now figure this all out and make sure that I'm doing everything right that I want to do. And so I really started deep diving into actually how to do everything correctly. And that's, building from there. So there's a lot of history on there, but it wasn't all done right in the beginning.
None of us do it right in the beginning.
No. I mean, you're flying by the seat of your pants, and that's really how you start. I would have to tell anybody creative, like, if you have a great idea and you want to do something, just go and do it. You'll figure it out along the way. Or then late at night when you're tired, you can sit on the couch with your laptop and deep dive and figure out how to actually do it correctly. But otherwise, you really just have to get out there and follow your passion.
Yes, I 100% agree. And so what does that look like today for you? How often do you blog? Are you with an ad network? How does that look?
Right now, just because there is, I want to stay real authentic to me and have always my own pictures or things that I've been a part of. I do occasionally will share client photos on stories or something like that on Instagram, but because I want everything actually coming from me, then that's like a one-woman show on the blog side of it, at least. So it's a slow go. I post once a week consistently. I'm going to try to get that up to 2 times a week in the next few months. But that's just what I'm doing right now, and making sure that what's being put out there is valuable for the customer. And just, SEO appropriate so people find it.
Awesome. And then you're pinning it.
Yes. Pinning, Pinterest, all of that good stuff. And I've got a really crazy email letter that actually goes out Thursday morning. So it went out this morning. So if you follow me, you know I have a ridiculous sense of humor. And so I write like I talk sitting with a girlfriend.
Love it. Have you found that you're able to easily weave that blog into other aspects of your business, like your booth and your social media? I mean, how does that all go together?
Well, the blog, you need to write about things that your customer needs. And my niche is really obviously home decor, but really focusing on personal style. I just see too much where people are just copying an exact look. It's like, do what you love. And especially with vintage, buy the weird things that you can see. If you're on video, you can see my weird things that I have. I'm sitting in my home office. This is my room. So it's kind of like my little design lab where I can just do all the weirdness that I want, bright colors that you don't see in my house, that they're just in this room. Exactly. So I have all my weird stuff. I love vintage art, all the fun things, so you really have to buy what you love. And I feel like, then you will have a space that is authentically you and that you always feel comfortable in. I have always said comes back from my scrapbooking time, but I feel like home is the scrapbook of your life. And you have those little things that you pick up along the way. And so I've made it focus as we have traveled throughout. I buy things that are meaningful, that remind me of great trips with friends, or just, little places that we've been that just have a great vibe that I want to remember.
And so, with that being said, how much of your income is paint versus booth versus blog?
Right now, obviously, mostly the income is paint and the booth. I have a big warehouse, so I have a little portion of it that I hoard a little vintage in. So occasionally we open that up and have warehouse sales, which is super fun. It's great to purge and then just give people, a place to find something. So if you're local to Lansing, Michigan, you might want to find out about those, because those are super fun. But I'm just starting, like, the blog this last year has been making money. So I'm focusing on that as well too, because there's ways to do that. And that's fun.
I was going to say, what made you think, I should really start implementing blogging?
I mean, blogging seriously, the main thing is, I guess the thing that really brought it about was obviously the change with my business partner leaving, and COVID changed our lives. People are stuck in their home. The paint business thrived during that time after the initial, first month freak out of, are we all ever leaving the house again? But then people started settling in, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm home. I can judge my house and I can paint this and make it my own. So people started ordering paint, and retailers were then figuring out how they could get the paint that, our paint that they sell to their customers. So it actually survived during that time. But it was during that time that it was like, okay, that's where I really need to connect with the people at home and talk to them about what I'm passionate about, which has always been home design and, making your space authentically you and the personal style aspect of it. So I decided that blogging was the way to really do that.
And so when you started that, did you already have an email list, speaking of connecting? And then how have you been growing that?
Yes, I definitely had an email list. So it was, kind of easy to mention that. And of course, whenever you have a little shift in that, people are like, wait a minute, what's happening? What are you doing? And you get some drop-offs. But that's okay, because since then, I have what I think is a really cool opt-in. So when people come to the website, I get a lot of subscribers every day from that, people downloading. I have a nice little, what do you call it? A little ebook called Your Home, Your Style, with just tips on making your home authentically you. So a lot of people have been downloading that and signing up. And then, the newsletter goes out and I can share what's going on, obviously the blog posts, funny stuff that's happened. There's always funny stuff that happens, but things I find and all those things that I just want to share with people so they can make their home how they want it.
I love that. And so in your newsletter, are you melding all of your parts of your business? So you're sharing the blog post and then you're sharing personal things, but are you also sharing a little bit about the paint and a little bit about your booth? Or
if there's something that has come up where it's like, oh, I painted this week, or this project did this, or I talk about vintage because that's just so much of my life, pretty much every day, as much as design and the blog is. So yeah, whatever comes up, it's kind of if you go to my website, the 3 pictures at the top are labeled design, inspire, paint. And that's pretty much what my shtick is there, with just, the home design, inspiring through vintage, creating your own, and then paint. And that paint is great to make things your own.
Yep. And Jill, where do you pull from for your inspiration?
Oh my gosh, all over. I am a watcher. I remember early on, just probably when I was a teenager and in the design business, learning to really observe. I remember someone telling me that was free education, which is to really watch. So I'm a watcher. So, and I notice things, very detail oriented, very visual. So just when I'm out in the world doing stuff, I'll see something. Normally we're so busy and you're trampling through the flower garden to go get somewhere, but once in a while you got to stop and notice the flowers, smell the roses. And so I'll be inspired by something I see. And then I go, oh, okay. And then it's the thing that comes back in my brain when I'm laying in bed at night and I'm up till 3 a.m. because my brain will not shut off. I'm like, please stop thinking.
That's a good
way I do it.
Yes. So that is awesome. What about if you were to start over, or you were to be able to tell yourself something when you were first getting started in all of this, looking back with all this experience and all the things that have happened, what advice would you give yourself?
It's funny because I was thinking about something the other day back, like I said, 20 years ago when I was in the scrapbooking industry and I was designing product for companies. And I remember being at a big trade show and a friend coming up to me and asking me, just at the time, I was like, what? But she said, how do you get people to do stuff for you? Like, how are you getting out there? Because at the time I had like 5 big companies that I was designing product for. And I thought about that the other day, because it wasn't that, wow, I had, I had great ideas, but they weren't so off the rails unique that nobody else could ever come up with something like that. But I think what I would always tell my younger self, because I see this a lot, especially on social media, that people suffer from this. It's like, sometimes you just got to be confident. You got to just ask. Just go out there and, you can't obsess too much. Like, will somebody like me? Will this, how will this be received? Like, who cares? If you love it, if it's your passion, then just get out there and do it. And you will find what are they calling it now? You will find your tribe that will come to you, of other crazy people that think like you and other people that love your shtick, whatever you're putting out there. And there will be a lot of people that don't, and that's fine too. No big deal. But you know what? Sometimes you just have to be confident and say, yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to present this and ask somebody, hey, you want to do this? And some people go, yeah, let's go.
So funny. That is awesome. I had that similar experience, but different. I was in the middle of opening my shop and I had a girlfriend she just came up there to help. And she was like, how did you get to this point? Like, how are you even doing this? And I was like, okay, well, first of all, I don't stop and think like, how am I doing this? I just was going with like what you talked about, your desire and your passion. It's like, I wanted to do it, so I'm doing it. You just do it. You just ask.
go. It's like
Forward.
balls to the walls.
Exactly. You just do
Full
it.
speed go. Yeah. Because if you stop to think about it, you're not going to do it. That's crippling. You'll start second guessing yourself and you'll be like, oh my gosh, what about this? Oh, wait a minute. Is somebody going to like that? No, they'll probably hate that. Nobody cares. Just do it. You got to just go do it and have sometimes it's fun to start with a friend that's as crazy as you, who, you know, the two of you can like feed each other's fuel and you're like, yeah, let's do this. And it's like stupid, but you do it anyway. And it's awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. So Jill, tell us where everyone can find you online.
You can find me pretty much just at Bungalow 47. So the website is bungalow47.com. I'm Bungalow 47 on Instagram and Bungalow 47 on Pinterest and Bungalow 47 on Facebook. I pretty much stay on those three platforms mostly. And yeah, then if you're local to Lansing, Michigan, you can find me at Williamston Antiques.
Love it. And so are you still taking retailers and affiliates, or how does that work?
We have closed our affiliate program for a while. We had it going on for a long time, but just with inflation and the price, I just am having a hard time wanting to really raise prices. And a lot of companies have already done that. My pricing is still way lower than it should be, but I'm struggling with that because I know people want to, you know, really still do things with their home, and it's difficult nowadays. But of course, I can't just work for free, so we do have to turn a profit. But so we don't have the affiliate program, but I still do take retailers. We get new retailers weekly through different platforms that we sell on. And we have a lot of people that you can just go direct and buy from our website, which a lot of people do. I have a house that we lived in. We actually moved during COVID. And one of the things that I did with the paint here was I painted a slate floor. And it was ugly. It was like mint and purple. And I figured out, wait a minute, what do I want? I don't want to tear this out. And then I realized I want slate, just not this ugly color. And then I remembered who I am. So I'm like, let me just paint it. So I did. So that blog post is like #1 on Google. If somebody Googles painting slate floor. So I've been getting a lot of people that have that same ugly floor in their house. And so, yeah,
Awesome.
that's been super fun. Making changes, man. We're making things pretty everywhere. And I love that people are feeling confident with the product. That's the main thing.
Yes. Yes. So you guys need to go check out Bungalow 47, see what the paint is all about, get some, try it on a couple of pieces and see how much you love it.
Yeah, come follow me. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm super weird. So if that works for you, great. If not, then it's okay too. That's fine. You could just be like, she's a big freak, but hey, we're having a good time.
Well, Jill, thank you so much for joining me this week on the podcast. You've been absolutely awesome. So thank you.
Thanks so much. It was really fun to talk to you and fun to meet you.
Yes, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye.